Let's go, baby. We are live. Let's wait for everyone to join right now. Are you on the live, Chase?
It's not coming up, so.
Okay, well, let's see if it should come up in a sec. Come on, buddy. Oh, I think it should be up now.
There we go.
There we go. Now it's up. All right, let's let everyone get in here. Frick, let's go. Dang. We should be able to see the comments on here, hopefully.
All right.
All right, boys.
Oh,
let's go.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, I have got some reactions. I am fired up right now. I'm fired up about many things, but should we start it from the bottom and work up?
Yeah, let's start from the bottom. All right. Here we go. Playoff rankings.
Number 25.
Woo. Army.
All right.
How do we feel about that?
Army.
How do we feel about that, Chase? How do we feel about that?
Okay, there was a comment made. I can't remember his name. He's the dude on the left who hates the 12-team playoff. But he was like, Army's being mad disrespected. Like, what do they say? Like, they're in the same shoes as Indiana. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, do you watch football? I love Army just as much as the next guy, but come on now. Let's talk real here, buddy. That annoyed me. But you know what? I'm happy Army even made it in because the playoff committee tends to throw out into the dirt the team that's like a kind of a G5 that's around. If they're ranked around 20, they just get tossed out. So I'm just happy they're in it.
I'm happy they're in it, but like, yeah, they haven't played anybody. But I mean, you still got to reward, I feel like, a little more, especially like Missouri above them. And I mean, just working my way up. Clemson, I'm happy Louisville's above Clemson, but I don't know why South Carolina isn't ranked if Louisville is.
That's my thing. That's my thing, bro. I feel like I think Louisville does deserve to be in that conversation, but if Louisville's ranked, South Carolina has like a way better resume and their losses aren't quite as bad. Now, Louisville has I would say Louisville has close to as good as quality losses. It seems like the playoff loves quality losses right now, but I would say like South Carolina, that's the one that threw me off. I was like, bro, how is a 3-loss team in that's not South Carolina?
Yeah.
It's killing me, man.
All right. Let's look at some of this, just what people are saying on the live now. All right. I think the biggest one for most of our followers, and I think most people, is that 6 through 9 spots.
Yeah. I mean, we figured it would be. I mean, yeah.
To where we got Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU. Indiana, BYU is an interesting one to talk about. BYU has 2 current ranked top 25 wins now with the new rankings, but Indiana, I will say, they have dominated every game to where I do see that side of things, but I feel resume also has to do with it, to where I think it should be BYU then Indiana.
Yeah, and that's something, if you're saying it means a lot. So, like, I totally agree, and I feel like the more they talk about it, I do think BYU is getting disrespected, but at the same time, we got 3 more weeks of playoff. Like, it's all right. Chill. It's okay. I understand they are putting a ton on the eye test. It seems like they're putting everything on the eye test.
I think that's a
but then they're also not putting everything on the eye test when you look at
I think that's
but like, why is Penn State at 6?
Penn State at 6 is crazy to me right now because they haven't really beat anybody. I mean, yeah, they hung with, I guess they beat Illinois, but everyone knows Illinois was just like they were in the top 25 because we don't really have anyone else to put in there, you know? And then they hung with Ohio State, but like we talked about in our podcast yesterday, they didn't even score an offensive touchdown in that game. Not one.
Right.
Home stadium. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it was loud on offense too, but still, like, you're telling me you're a top 5 team and you can't even score an offensive touchdown at home. It doesn't add up to me, and I don't understand why they are where they are. I personally would I'd maybe move them down 1 or 2 and have Tennessee or Indiana and BYU, maybe all 3 of them over Penn State. But like we talked about, 6 through 9 will be interesting.
Yeah, there's some good comments right now. I want to give you guys some credit for being in here. I do say Jeremy _63 says BYU for president. He put in Luke Laconia said my vote for today was for Jake Retzlaff. I guess wrote him in. That's insane. Respect. Charlie Shoup, a soldier. Football better than politics. Yes. What else would we be doing tonight? Like what else is going on? Dude,
Yes,
I actually
sir.
love how they start off the broadcast with like the electoral college of college football. I was like, yo, bro, this is so sick. Oh, I
Yeah,
actually
that's just
love
like,
that.
and they did a good job. They did a good job explaining the playoff, which I did appreciate because I think a lot of people thought it was just the Power Four conference champs that will be top four, when it's just top 5 highest ranked conference champions, to where you could have both Mountain West and American if Army shoots up and Boise State stays up there, to where I don't think a lot of people knew that, to where, yeah.
I think that's a huge misconception. Yeah. So I definitely get that. But let's talk about, I do think that they brought up some interesting points that I want to talk about as well. Texas. People get mad at us whenever we say this team has current ranked wins. Like, why are you putting down teams? They didn't choose that. Why are you putting down teams for other teams losing? Why doesn't that Michigan win matter as much? It's like, because it's life, man. Michigan's actually not as good as we thought we were. We thought they were. Too bad. They're not number 10 in the country. That's not a ranked win. And so you can't treat it like a ranked win. And now all of a sudden, flash to week 10, and their resume actually isn't that great, especially with that Vandy win looking really weird. Do I think they belong in the top 5? Yes. But I will say their resume is like, if you're mad at them being below Miami or below anybody else, it's like, well, they kind of haven't really beaten anybody. Respectfully.
Yeah. All right, here we go. KRG 2056. He's very frequent in our comments, one of the Showtime faithful for sure. Were you guys surprised Blue Blood Clemson was disrespected? Honestly, no, because I think we had them at around the same spot in our top 25. I think we dropped them to 21. And like we've talked about multiple times, to anyone who listens, they can't beat good teams. They just can't. Any good team they've played, they've lost to. Georgia and Clemson. I mean, Georgia and Louisville. Sorry.
Yeah,
but
I do agree. I agree with you where they're ranked. I actually love where they're ranked. But I was actually surprised that they were ranked. So I was surprised, but I think they actually got that one right. And I think the reason they did that, because they tend to always favor the brands. No offense. They tend to favor brands for some reason. And I feel like they put them there just so they could put Louisville above them. I feel like they wanted to rank Louisville 24, and they were going to rank Clemson 20, and they said, nope, Clemson needs to be below Louisville. And so I feel like that's what happened. That's what it seemed like, because I feel like Clemson's a little low for the committee and Louisville's a little high. I think Louisville is not the 21st ranked team in the country. I do not buy that. But I respect it.
Yeah, the bottom 7 or so were a little weird. All right, Spencer Sumption, our boy, says, do you think SMU hops Miami in the ACC and takes the highest conference spot by the end of the season? I mean, it'll come down to the conference championship because they don't play each other, and I personally think both of them will win out the way they are playing right now, to where I think the ACC, I mean, maybe SMU will be top 10 by then, but I really think the ACC might just have that one team, and it's just the winner of the ACC championship.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I do think it's just weird. Kansas State got a big boost. SMU got a big boost, but BYU did not. And they just didn't seem to care when they voted BYU. So that's all I'm going to say really about BYU. I think it's good for the team overall. I think they'll be fine because you never want to be overranked. You never want to be overranked. It'll sort itself out. And I think it's probably better for the team. I mean, I literally think it's better for the team being like, we're disrespected still. It's better for the team. Where a team like Miami, I don't think they've earned necessarily a top 4 ranking, but they're going to think they're number 4 in the country, with no disrespect. But, you know, if I was a Miami fan, I'd rather be ranked lower and give them something to play for a little more. I'm just saying that. So,
here we go. I just thought of something. I was because KRG said Louisville can be ranked. They have all tough losses, which I do agree with. The teams they've lost to are good teams, but at that point, you should probably put Vandy in there too. You know, they beat Bama and then they lost to Texas by 3, to where Vandy should be in there just as much as Louisville should, in my opinion, to where I don't know. This was a very interesting ranking, especially like the bottom half. I think I was very interested with. Top half, I knew 6 through 10 would be interesting, but other than that, I kind of knew what it would be.
Yeah, I actually do really like a solid chunk from 11, I say 10 to like 17. I feel like it's really good. I like where
Yeah.
Notre Dame is. I like where Bama is. I like where Boise is. I like where LSU is, Ole Miss. I like all those teams in sequential order. I am totally fine with where those guys are at. So that's why we haven't really talked about them yet.
Yeah, Jeremy 63, Bama ahead of Boise State is ridiculous. Goes both ways. Yeah, Boise State has less losses, but I mean, they haven't really. I mean, yeah, they hung with the number 1 team in the country, and that's my team. They barely lost to us by 3 because of special teams. But let's be real, Boise State has not played anyone really. UNLV was probably the second toughest opponent, and they did kind of struggle against them. They did win, and they'll probably win out. Boise State will probably be the 5th conference champ. But I'm fine with Bama where they are at right now, to where I don't know, Bama, Boise State.
I do want to hear your thoughts, Chase, on Tennessee. Max Payne's saying Tennessee ranking was crazy to me. I'm wondering if he thinks that's high or low, because I feel like you could almost argue both ways with Tennessee. I want to hear what you say, Sned, about Tennessee.
Tennessee, like we talked about, it's tough because their loss against Arkansas, like Arkansas is an underrated team. I think Arkansas is pretty good, but I don't know. I mean, they beat Bama, to where I think that is part of it. And anyone who's watched Tennessee knows it's their defense, and their defense is very strong. Their offense has looked pretty lackluster lately, to where I don't know. That's the tough one for me. I'm fine with it. I'm not fine with it. I don't know. I think within the next
it
week
depends
or
on
two,
do you weigh eye test versus resume? Do
yeah,
you weigh quality losses? Like, how bad is the loss to Arkansas?
Yeah, it all factors in, to where there's like they have minuses in some areas and they have positives in the other, to where
Steven Sunwall still believes in Vatek. You know what, Steven? We do
I love
too.
you, bro. Steven,
But
I love you, bro.
that's just tough. After they lost to Syracuse, what is it? I think it's 4 losses now. I
Yeah,
think
they
I
have
have 4
4
losses
losses.
now.
So we were wrong
So I mean,
about
I don't think they could even make the ACC championship. So I think they got 2 losses in the ACC. I know the ACC is kind of like everyone up in the lead has 0 or 1. There's no one, like, if you have 2, you're kind of out right now.
Yeah.
Miami has to lose a couple for you to even be considered, and same as SMU. I don't think either of them are losing any.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though. Steven says
Spencer's
lies, all lies. Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong.
Spencer Assumption. Here we go. We talked about this actually in our podcast yesterday. Another question: if Boise State wins out and BYU loses one of their last 4 games, will Boise State take the 4th spot? Honestly, I think so. I think if Boise State wins out,
no way, bro.
I think if BYU loses, and then let's say them or Iowa State win the Big 12, they both have 1 loss. I think if Boise State wins out pretty convincingly, I think Boise State jumps them. I really do. I think they'll take the 4th spot.
I don't know. I feel like when you come to the end, it's not like the AP poll where you win, you keep moving up.
Yeah,
the playoff committee is just fine holding someone in a spot.
I don't know how the playoff committee really factors in. I feel like every week they choose different stuff to base it off, especially last year. I think me and Chase talked about this. Last year was weird. I feel like last year they based every ranking each week off something else. Sometimes it was eye test, sometimes it was resume, power ranking, how they're playing this last week, to where I don't know. The playoff committee is kind of strange to me. I don't know how to feel about it so far, and it's been around for 10 years now, to where yeah.
I don't know if I like that either. It's so weird. I feel like they use different criteria for different teams. I know every team has very, very different circumstances. Like, I'm aware of that, but it just feels like the criteria is always different for different teams. And I wish they would be a little bit more concrete. Maybe there's a reason they're more vague about it, but I feel like it'd be so much better if they at least said, all right, we factor in this, then this, then this. And they don't say how much. They just say a priority list. We factor resume, then eye test. Because for me, I'm a resume guy. What's happened on the field? I mean, eye test is also on the field, but I feel like your wins are what matter, man. Like, I hate the whole idea of like, well, this team would beat this team. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It just, I feel like resume should matter a lot more than what it has. And when you look at a team like Penn State, there is 0 resume. I'm sorry, there's no resume.
Yeah.
Miami, there's no resume. Now, those pass the eye. They pass the eye test. Miami at least does. That's why I think they deserve a top 8 ranking right now. But Penn State, I don't think should be in the top 10. I do not think Penn State should be in the top 10. They do not belong there right now. Do not belong.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was fighting people in the comments about that one. So if you're on here, please let's hear it. Tristan W. Hatsnet, thank you. Trump is winning. All right, let's keep politics out of it as much as I know that's what people are probably watching right now.
That's
KRG.
true. If BYU,
Boise is
wait,
more
let's go
likely
Anderson Lowe real quick.
Oh,
sorry. My bad.
No.
Anderson Lowe says if BYU has a loss in conference championship, SMU beats Miami, we should make it over Miami. I think, does he mean we as in BYU? Probably.
I have no idea. If BYU,
probably BYU. I think they'd both make it in. I don't think you need to have a BYU versus Miami. I think 11-1 or 12-1 Miami losing to SMU in the they wouldn't have any good wins. I think they'd be 9 or 10. I don't think they'd have a problem staying in. Miami would.
Yeah. Boise is more likely to jump.
That's saying BYU and Miami both go undefeated.
Yeah. Boise is more likely to jump the ACC champ than BYU. I don't think so because I think SMU or Miami, whoever it is, Miami will either be undefeated or SMU will have one loss with a win over top 4 Miami, to where I don't think Boise will jump either of them.
Yeah, I think the biggest fear is if BYU loses a game and somehow they can't get an at-large or they get the 12th seed because somehow Boise State's ranked 1 above them. Which would be ridiculous.
I think the way BYU doesn't make it at this point is if they lose.
It's got to be a regular season loss.
And then like SMU wins the ACC, because I don't think Miami's just going to drop out of the top 12, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, that would mean that BYU essentially has to, if they don't get a regular season loss, they should be in.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always thought this, but I'm a little bit biased. I think, if they go 12-1, they should be in.
I mean,
it's a regular season loss spices things up,
because they'll be probably playing like 15th based on the rankings today with Iowa State and Colorado. They'll probably be playing like 15th ranked Iowa State or Colorado, to where we'll see what the committee thinks of that loss. I mean, I guess it depends how severe it is, but
that's interesting. I feel like, and also, I mean, let's say SMU goes and wins the ACC championship, wins out, their only loss is to BYU, and so that would definitely be helping BYU.
Yeah.
If you think SMU's hurting BYU by doing that, maybe, but it's also helping. So they might counteract each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Ward for Heisman. Cam Ward for Heisman. I have been getting more convinced that Cam Ward is very good, that Miami just doesn't have a defense.
350 yards a game, to where I'm not even going to argue that. I think Genty's still my favorite, but I think Ward is right there. Tristan, Penn State's only losses to number 2 Ohio State by a touchdown. Why shouldn't they be top 10? Tristan,
losses don't matter. Wins matter.
You joined a little late. Yes, it was to number 2 Ohio State, but it was at home. And they didn't score an offensive touchdown. They couldn't even score an offensive touchdown at home. Sold out crowd. I'm sorry, but if you're a top 10 team, I don't really care who you're playing. You should be able to score a touchdown in your home stadium. That's just my opinion.
If they had a resume behind it, maybe you could argue that. But the problem is you can have quality losses and try and explain quality losses without quality wins.
Yeah.
So.
Quinn Stevenson, love the hat, Sko Ducks. Yes, sir. Loving the Oregon love in this chat right now.
Ducks are going to be the least talked about team this week, as their ranking is pretty much unanimous. I don't think there's literally anybody that disputes that. Now, Ohio State did get over Georgia, which I was a little bit surprised about.
Yeah. I mean, Penn State, they beat Penn State, and then their one loss is to the number 1 team by 1, to where I do kind of agree with it. And Georgia, yeah, they beat Florida by 14, but up until the last 10 minutes, it was pretty neck and neck, to where
and Georgia, they've both had close games that should not have been close. Like they both had several games that should not have been close.
Ohio State, Nebraska, Ohio State barely won that one, to where that was interesting. I was kind of surprised that Georgia got jumped. to where I don't know. They have a big game this week traveling to the SIP at Ole Miss. A lot of the analysts, anyone who's watching the show knows they think Ole Miss is a very underrated team in the country right now because of their two losses.
I actually very much appreciate that Ole Miss was only 16. If they were or they 17, if they were any higher, I would not be super happy with it. I think 16 is just perfect. That's right where they should be. Right where they should be. They need to earn a little more. Beat Georgia this week, and we've got a conversation for Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss, And then Bama, LSU. This is a very big game. We're kind of talking about this week now. Bama, LSU is a big game because what are they now? Both. They have 2 losses. LSU has 3.
Both of them have 2 losses, I believe.
Both of them have 2 losses, to where I think that's like almost like a playoff play-in game for those 2 teams because I don't think either of them will be in the SEC championship.
It's an elimination game.
Yeah, I think it'll be Georgia, Texas still. But I think whoever wins this LSU Bama game may get that last 11 spot or 12 spot, depending where Boise State ends up. But I don't know. You also have SMU right there too, to where this is a huge playoff.
Well, I will say, I don't know what the SEC tiebreakers are. Just remember, LSU only has 1 conference loss. If they're the ones who win this game,
so does A&M.
Yeah, and so does Georgia.
Yeah, and Texas.
So does Texas.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't even know what the tiebreaker is because none of them play each other.
Well, Texas, A&M play each other, so that'll separate.
They do play, but LSU, Georgia, and Texas, neither of them play each other. Well, Georgia and Texas already played. Actually, Texas will be the one who gets booted out.
Yeah,
let's say Texas beats A&M. Let's say Texas beats A&M, so Texas has 1 loss. Georgia wins out; they have 1 loss. LSU wins out; they have 1 loss. That's 3 teams. Texas would be left out because Georgia has a head-to-head over Texas, right?
Yeah, but I think the overall record would get Texas over LSU right now.
It may.
I don't know. Maybe people in the comments know. I don't know. We're losing people right now.
No, we're actually still standing about the same right now. No comments though, guys. Comment. We want to get this interesting here.
We want questions. Ask us questions.
We don't do lives too often. We're doing more lives soon. But this is live on YouTube and on Instagram. So Colorado slipped in late as the 12th seed.
I mean, if Colorado wins out and wins the Big 12, I could see it because they will be the 5th, probably highest ranked conference champ. Where they will be the 12th seed.
He's probably implying that they slip in as at large 12th, but that means if they're slipping in, that means most likely. Well, I guess Iowa State could win out and then lose in the Big 12 championship. And so Colorado doesn't have to play the Big 12 championship. But then again, I still think Iowa State would be the one booting Colorado out of the playoff. And so I don't think Colorado would have to lose again in order to slip in at 12th, or they just get the automatic bid and beat BYU or Iowa State.
Iowa State would have to lose to Kansas State, and Colorado gets in the Big 12 championship at that point.
Yes. And it would depend. And even then, it would depend on mutual opponents because Kansas State only has 2 losses in conference. So Kansas State could actually jump both of them because Kansas State would have a tiebreaker over Colorado and Iowa State.
Yeah.
So I think basically Colorado right now, if Kansas State wins out, it's a pretty tough spot for Colorado to actually make it in. Kansas State still controls their own destiny to make the college football playoff, believe it or not. They still control their own destiny. If they win out, they're in the Big 12 championship game with BYU right now. Because of tiebreakers, because of head-to-head. They beat Colorado, and they would have beat Iowa State at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's true because Colorado has 2. Well, no, Colorado has 1 conference loss. That's the thing.
Oh, excuse me. Yep, they have 1 loss, not 2.
I was so confused. I was like, anyways, kind of just called chase out there. But all right, here we go.
It's true. So Colorado could make the
Indiana will beat Ohio State. That's a big game. That's Big 10 championship on the line in that one. I don't know. I think it's at Ohio State.
It is.
That's tough. I don't know.
I don't know about that one, man.
Talk to me next week, Tristan, about that one. The week of how much of a shot does Louisiana have at the CFP? They'd have to pray Boise State and Army just lose at this point, which
they could. They're vulnerable, but I just don't. It's not in their own hand. It's not only out of their hands, it's fairly out of their hands.
Yeah.
They would have to, it'd be very hard for them to make that.
BM Fisher, still don't understand the blind resume. How does Indiana gain 5 spots in AP? I mean, AP doesn't matter anymore to where.
Right.
But at the same time, like we talked about, you just joined. I know you didn't see the beginning of this, but Indiana's been dominant in every game. Do I think they should be above BYU right now? No. And anyone who knows us knows I'm not even a BYU fan. To where,
well, and I think you'd agree with me saying I don't think they belong above BYU, but I don't think neither of those teams belong where they're at. I think both those teams should be. I think Indiana should be 8 or 7 with BYU right ahead of them.
Yeah, I think.
Like I think a BYU should be over Penn State right now. Should be over maybe Tennessee, and I mean I think that's a pretty good conference. I think Penn State should be 9. I think that's the easiest one for me. Penn State should be 9. Tennessee's a maybe. I mean I could consider both.
Yeah, that like we've said, that 6 through 9, I knew it'd just be crazy. Like it could really go any way at this point right now,
right.
and I'd kind of just be like, well, they're all right there. So, yeah. Right. All right. Let's see here. All right, Chase. Maybe you can wrap this up. What are your final thoughts you want to share with the faithful who are still watching?
Final thoughts for you guys still on here. Wow, I can't believe you guys are still on. I mean, we had a solid 27 minutes of podcast, and we never dipped below 6. 6 viewers. So thanks for being here, guys. I will say we're releasing our predictions or our CFP top 12 tomorrow. So you guys will see where we're at. We're gonna have to do some debating because I feel like, well, I don't know. We had Penn State at 12 in our poll. I'm almost okay keeping it that way. I don't even know. Like I almost want to keep them there because I feel like they have no business being above some of these teams right now. I know I'm hating on Penn State, guys. Just remember, I am literally I've always been kind of a casual Penn State liker. They're kind of always been like my second or third favorite team. And I just do not believe in Penn State right now. I just do not see anything worth a top 10 ranking. I am sorry. Happy Utah fan, happy depressed BYU fan. Welcome. Holy Wars this week. Cannot wait for that game. Me or DBF. I don't know. Honestly, happy Utah fan. You're really, really nice to us all the time. So, I mean, I got no problem with you.
Very true.
Yeah. Ooh, happy Utah fan. Hey, happy Utah fan. If you're at the game, come meet up.
There you go.
Yep. All right, guys. KRG, right, Pribula over Aller. That's a maybe because Aller can't throw downfield, so you might as well throw Pribula in there.
Yeah, Aller did not look that great.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for joining in. It was a pleasure. Podcast coming out on Thursday with Field Rush. That's going to be insane. More about that tomorrow, and our top 12 coming out tomorrow. Can't wait for that.
Or your top 3 followers, Tristan.
Top 3 followers, crazy.
Probably Chase Davidson 3, Chase_Sned, and then Steven Sunwall, or Field Rush,
or Spencer Sumption.
Yeah.
Shout out Spencer. All right, boys. It's been a night. College football playoff rankings go down. They weren't as bad as I thought they would be, but I did have my problems. Chase had his problems, but they weren't. I would give an overall scale. Let's do this at the very end. I would give an overall rating on how they did. I would say they got a 6 or 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10.
And there's still a lot of football left to be played, boys. So don't be worried. It'll all work out. I'm sure, end of the season, the final one, there'll be some teams left out or felt they should be in over others, but that's just part of the playoffs. So yeah.
Dang. Okay. We'll see you guys later. Love y'all.